Okay, so when we're in a situation where we're trying to assign data points onto a controller, through previous videos we've got ourselves to a situation where we've introduced a library of data points, we've introduced a DDC420 controller, and we have selected to right click on the DDC controller and display terminal view. Okay, with terminal view we get all the pins. We have interestingly different terminal numbers against different pin numbers, and this must be very carefully communicated when you're programming a controller with your panel workshop, just to make sure that they're working with terminal numbers and not necessarily pin numbers, because in software and only inside software do we use pin numbers, but obviously a panel manufacturer needs to have the terminal number of where to connect the cable. So make sure you communicate that effectively, and at the end of this video I'll show you how to produce a printout so to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So what we have to do here, we've got a couple of points allocated, but according to my project plan, I need to move things around and complete my project to satisfy this particular application. So it just looks to me that my hot water flow temp needs to be repositioned onto pin number 8, whereas it's currently allocated onto pin number 1. The quickest thing to do is not to delete it, but literally to highlight it with the mouse, click, hold the mouse button down, and just drag it down onto the pin number that you want to use. Simple as that. Again, if I want to move common flow temperature for the boilers and put that onto pin 1, I can do that as well. At this stage I don't have enough pins for my project, so I need to introduce another I/O module. To do that I have to right click on the DDC420 and select new and introduce a new field bus module. When I do that, a field bus module list is presented to me, and I can choose number and type of modules that I'm interested in. So I'm going to allocate a FBU 410 onto my controller and just select OK. Okay, now I've got the tree. Now I highlight the FBU, I right click on it in the same way, and now I select terminal view. Now I've got the terminal view for the FBU, it's already allocated onto my DDC controller, and I can go back to the plants tab and I can start to continue programming as I was previously. So I'm going to allocate a heating zone onto this FBU controller, and I'll put my heating pumps on it. So I can now right click on heating zone number 1 for the pumps, right click to refresh the text table. Now I'm only looking at the types of pumps that are available for a heating circuit. It just so happens I've got 2 pumps and a flow switch. Okay, so I'm going to take pump number 1 enable, and I'm going to drop that onto pin number 1, which is a digital output on the module. I'm going to take pump number 2 enable, I'm going to drop that onto the same module. I'm going to take VT pump flow switch and I have to highlight it before I take it, and I'm going to drop that onto pump number 1, pin number 1, apologise. And I'm also picking up some fault messages for each of the pumps as well. So I'm going to take pump 1 fault, and I'm going to take the pump 2 fault as well. Okay, so within a few minutes I've programmed 5 hardware objects and I've introduced some new I/O. That is just only the I/O at this stage. The next stage would then be to put the strategy onto those pumps and control them. Okay, so if I've made a mistake and I want to move a pin, I can always come back here afterwards and I can select a pin to move if the panel shop reallocated, or I wanted to reassign information around my project. I can simply click on a point on my FBU410, and let's just say the panel shop had actually put the flow switch onto the DDC controller, I can right click on this, I can cut out the terminal, I can then go to the DDC420, I can find a digital input that's free where the panel shop have put it, right click on it, and then say insert. If I was programming this in the real world and all of the strategy was already behind this, it would reallocate all the strategy with it as well. So this is a very quick way of moving points to accommodate any sort of little inaccuracies that have happened during the panel build. At this stage as well, if I want to, because of the project point titles are quite long, I can just double click on this here and I can just remove this just to make it a little bit more informative and avoid having lots of text to read once I'm projecting or actually viewing the controller. That's a nice luxury step you can go through. Once the controller's been fully allocated, you've then got the option to print out all this information, and to do that you select project and documentation, and you're presented with a number of options. Assignment is all of the terminal assignments, and that's what we're going to do. But if you've fully completed all of your project, you can get a complete dump of all of the strategy, all of the drawings associated, all of the user interface allocations you've made, and you can do that at the same stage as well. But as I said, we're just going to click on assignment, and I choose to print the control cabinet of interest. I want to choose a cover page. I want to have the assignment location, the field, and the terminals. You can choose them all, but you might end up with quite a lot of information that you may not be interested in. This then allows me to choose which element of the controller I want to print, and this is asking me, do I want the FBU terminals? Yes, I do. And would I like the DDC420 terminals? Yes, I would. And once I'm happy with that, I can give it a name, date, change whatever I want, and I can say OK. It then asks me for a file name, and I will just call this DDC connections, and click on save, and the PS4000 will then go away, and it will then create the document. This is a Word document, and now I can browse on my structure. It will be in the C drive, it will be in PS4000, it will be in the project, and now I have to find the project that I've created. And this is by project number. So if you remember, I used the current date for the name, so I think that was the 16th, the 8th, so it would be 016. Bear with me. Sixteen. Apologies for this. Just give me a second. Here we go. Apologies, I was looking for the wrong date. Open that. There's a folder called documentation, and there it is. It's called DDC connections. And we have this folder with a file inside, and inside is the Word document, and then I have a complete printing of all of the connections associated to the controllers that I've allocated. Okay? So you can issue that to the panel shop. They can start building the panel, and then you can carry on with the programming. Okay. Next video we'll start to carry out some programming for this particular project or a similar project.